All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of Convos with Music Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of Ibu, Mr. Activator, your host, interviewer for today. Big special shout out to DC Studios for allowing us to be here in their space today, shining a lot of bright light to make me shine on this beautiful evening. Black History Month is in full effect. And joining me, none other, you guys are familiar with this guy, you've seen him around. The best dancer that I know, actually the winner of the dance competition of of the winner of the dance competition of Afrofest drive-through that happened last year. And I have footage to prove that. Make sure you stay tuned because that video is coming out soon. Ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of mine, Peter Toad, the executive director of Music Africa. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You wasn't expecting that me to. I just want people to know that you are the winner.
But there was only two contestants, and one had one leg. You understand? That was a handicap.
I can't wait to show the people how you got down. And honestly, congratulations. I respect it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
How you doing today, though? Like, and when I mean, how are you? Like, how are you feeling?
Well, I feel good. Apart from the fact that, one, it is really cold outside.
Yes.
And two, there's a lot of work is being done right now because we're going to have a busy summer.
Yeah.
Everything else is okay.
Everything else is good.
Yeah.
Right now, as you guys can see in the background, we got the Black History Month banner. And currently, we have the Black History Month concert series that's happening. I will encourage everybody to go to Afrofest YouTube to really to see all of the talent in the video that's coming out for the series. Now, remind me again, we're releasing a video every Saturday of the month.
Yes. So we have we did one on the 12th,
okay.
Two performances. We had Keisha Lee, and then Idris Lawal is going to be next week.
Okay.
Amani Ill-Fated is next week. While on the 12th, we had Keisha Lee and Nax Bitota. Nax Bitota actually is in Montreal, so she submitted hers online.
Okay.
And then, so we had 3 weeks. The second week is us doing our thing. And
okay.
then
the next week, we're following with the performances.
Yes, please.
Another emphasis that we need to put on, obviously, Black History Month, February, I call it the celebration of Black excellence.
Yes.
And I want to ask you, how does an organization like Music Africa fits in that context of celebrating excellence, but also celebrating and pushing forward African and Black culture here in the city?
Yeah, so we look at it two sides. One side is the personal side because we all within the organization, we live in a community as Blacks, we live as Africans, and we have to find a space that we're comfortable in. Yeah. And on the flip side, political in the sense that there are some organizations who email us and say, hey, you guys with the reach that you have, are we supposed to be having Black History Month? You know, we black every day.
Yeah.
You know, so there's some that appreciate the work that we do and the opportunities that we give to artists. And others are saying, look, you guys should take a stand. So it's a bit tricky. But for us as an organization, what I say is, look, the same way as your mother is your mother every day,
yeah,
but you celebrate Mother's Day.
Right.
You know, the fact that we have Black History Month doesn't take away from
right.
who we are and the culture that we have.
Facts.
So in that respect, what we now do is we understand that music and artists are our best cultural ambassadors. What they do, the way they sing, the vibes that they create is actually what pushes our culture forward.
Yeah.
So we try to capture that as much as possible during this month.
And now, you saying that, it got me thinking. As big of the organization as Music Africa is, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at 34th
yes, this year.
Installment of Afrofest.
Yes.
Finger crossed, with things kind of opening up. We got our finger crossed. We'll get into that a little bit more into the interview, of course. But it got me thinking, how what are the hurdles that an organization that is here to promote African music into this anti-black racism, sort of like underlining happening? If you could let us know, what are those hurdles that you actually face, in terms of potentially, with grants or if you could let the community know, give them a little bit of an insight what goes on behind closed doors.
First of all, I would like to give a shout out to the people who actually work in some of these organizations because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And while right now, I would say Music Africa, we enjoy a specific position with various organizations. Our history makes our job a lot easier, even though we still have to work a bit harder. There are situations in which I cannot name organizations, but a grant opportunity opens up. You send an email asking questions and nobody gets back to you.
Yeah.
Or somebody gives. There's one specific situation in which, say, I submitted a grant application, I was successful, and the next year I was told you can no longer apply for this grant because even though you want to do a second installment of that project, it's not going to go through. It doesn't. The mandate of your organization doesn't align with the objectives of this grant.
Okay.
Now I waited 2 years, and 2 years later, I sat back confused as in why. I really felt it aligned.
Yeah.
And the program officer changed in that department. The next person I spoke to was welcoming to all my ideas. And it got me thinking. I went in combative, thinking that I was going to be rejected because I had to defend what I'm trying to do. Meanwhile, the issue was not me. It was that it was a bit difficult for me to explain what we're trying to do to somebody who never really understood the hurdles that an African organization faces. The main issue that I find is it's not a one-size-fits-all. Mm-hmm. And that's the mistake. So when we're looking at African music, we say, okay, hey, this is what, let me say, a rock organization or a folk or a Canadian organization goes through. We cannot have the same standard because our challenges are different.
Yeah.
And that's a case that I've been trying to make for a very long time. And I feel right now it's getting better. I hope it just continues in that light.
Now, I'm thinking, would it help to actually call out some of these organizations in a way to allow the public to know what's going on? How do you feel about that? Because I look at it, it's almost as if we're part of protecting the infrastructure, whereas in if we maybe, and I mean, I don't know this, I'm just thinking out loud, would it actually help us more than hurting us if we actually saying these organizations need to be held accountable and actually name them?
It will hurt us more because within the organizations there are people, and there are people who make the decisions, not the organization. And I think it's going to be a mistake for us to hold the organization responsible for an individual error. I think it is easier to understand that within each organization that we may face hurdles and then try to figure out a way to make a case within that organization. There are always ways to navigate through. There's a specific grant I applied for. It took me 6 years to get. I applied 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13. 2014, I got the grant. And what I realized is the issue, all the while, I was thinking, these guys, we're doing amazing work, why don't they give us the money?
Yeah.
But then when I finally got it, I had to change my approach. I had to change the wording. I had to change the way I presented my case to the granting officers. So sometimes it is not the officer. Sometimes it is the organization that consistently looks at it. There's one thing in entrepreneurship that I usually say. You cannot look at, the person giving you money is the one who is supposed to assess how big you are. You cannot go to the person who is supposed to give you money and tell, hey, you know what, I'm this big, watch me. Why? And no, it is, okay, I need something from you. So I'm going to model myself in such a way that you will know that I'm important to you. Mm-hmm. And I will show you why it is essential for you to support me.
Yeah.
I think having that mindset is way more productive. And even if within an organization there is somebody who can pose as a hurdle, it's a matter of talking to that person, or hey, can I speak to your supervisor?
Yeah.
And making them to understand, as opposed to hey, pointing fingers, because it only creates a bigger rift between us and the establishment.
Should, as big as Music Africa is, should that allow you a little bit more leeway, right? Because I'm thinking the terms of negotiation cannot be the same for an organization that's been around 34 years than one that's 2-3 years. Is this something that should be taken into consideration from your perspective?
Yes, it should be taken into consideration. It is taken into consideration. And I feel that sometimes they say, in a way, we have been our own enemy, because for the longest time, I'll say up until 2015, when I say this to people, they wonder how it's possible. But Afrofest, the whole of that event, was put together with a budget of less than 150,000. And
450,000.
150.
150.
150, the whole event. So
Okay.
we host about, at the time, we attracted about 100,000 people to the festival. And that's,
Wow.
yeah, that's 1.5. If you look at it, it's $1.5 per individual. And now we look at other organizations that receive way more money in funding. And the question that I ask is, if you're spending $1.5 per head and giving another organization $5 per head, where is your focus? You know,
That's almost 5 times the buying power. Wow.
exactly. And sometimes it is us making these cases. It is us explaining it to them this way, to say, we have this number of people coming to our event. Please look at it this way and support us accordingly. The individuals within the organization who make these decisions, I'm not going to fault anybody for making decisions that way, or saying something negative about Music Africa or any other African organization. And it's also, there's also an element where other organizations collect money and they don't do, or don't fulfill what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it hurts the general. It's just the same way as if you've never encountered, say, a black person, and the first one that you encounter does something wrong to you.
Yeah.
Automatically the whole black race is painted based on that one person.
Yeah.
So something similar. So these are all challenges that we face, and we have to work through them.
But is there a? I mean, the infrastructure, and we all know this, wasn't built to allow us a lot of grace into what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's partially there is what you're saying, where we have to do our due diligence and go through the right way, but I think also we're not looked at in the space that like it's worth investing. Meaning, like if a black organization go, right, why is it 3 times harder to get the same? And why do we only get, let's say, based on what we're talking about here, 1.5 instead of $5 per person, when everybody else gets that from I mean, they come with a higher starting point, if you get what I'm saying, right?
Understood.
So why is it a thing that, and I think that's with the work that you're doing that I'm aware of, at least I know that a lot of these challenges is being worked on to help not only Music Africa, but any other organization that's out here promoting African music, black culture and things of that nature, so that we're not given more to do than the other average organization. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, two things. I'll give you an example. For one, Heritage Canada did something very interesting and beautiful last year. So they had a meeting in which they did a call out to the community, to the black community, and said, look, we would like to speak to you guys. So they sent a mass email out to various black organizations and all whatnot. And I know friends of mine, various organizations, received this email. Time for the meeting, it was almost 28 Heritage Canada staff and 2 black organizations, mine and somebody else.
Really?
Yes. So
Wow.
we had to make the case for the collective. So sometimes it is not only the granting organizations that should be looked at and say, hey, why are you guys doing things in a certain way? The question is, do we actually put ourselves in the position to be looked at more favorably?
Yeah.
Sometimes that is the issue. Now, it's going to be, we're going to trick ourselves, or we'll be fooling ourselves if we think that the challenges that are in the systematic challenges are going to disappear overnight. So there are conversations like this that I feel can make an impact easily. So it's a gradual process. We cannot expect to change a way of, look, think about it this way. Slavery went on for about 400 years.
Yeah.
Segregation went on for about maybe 30 years. We've not been this way for more than 50 years. So slavery in North America lasted longer than we've been.
Then we've been able to get to these.
To have conversations like this.
Yes.
So understanding that we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
We cannot expect things to change overnight, but we should make sure that we put ourselves in position that we can identify areas where we can push the change, and gradually we'll get there.
And I agree with you. But I also think, maybe this is just my own personal thing, I think that, black people didn't create the system.
Yeah.
So it's going to take more than black people working. So it's going to take the alliance from white people
Yes.
to partake into this pushing the conversation forward.
Of course.
And I think too many times we blame ourselves, unfortunately, is because it's like, I just got to work harder. But it's like, no, like everybody else have to do their part.
Yeah, and speaking of that, everybody else has to do that, but I agree with you. But that's the other element to it is we've got good and not so good people. Mm-hmm. It's going to be unfair if we paint everybody with the same brush.
That is true.
And what happens when we do that is we make those allies that we may have had take a step back.
Yeah.
Because right now we're accusing them of things things that they've not done, or calling them names that they necessarily do not bear.
Yeah.
So we should also be careful. Yes, you're right when you say we need to have allies and people who help fight our cause.
Yeah.
But we should also understand that in the cause of us fighting and striving for some kind of equality and equity, we should respect the allies that we have, and not it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah. Now, for sure. I mean, to go on record, we're not saying that all white people are bad, or, you know what I mean? It's some, but we need everybody to turn that over and then to help push the agenda forward.
For sure.
To close out on this subject, 2 quick questions. What is the short-term goal into achieving some of these successes, or building the building the wall brick by brick? And what are some of the short-term outlook and getting to a place of, I don't want to say resolution, but to a better place? Whereas when we're having this conversation next year, that we've at least are able to say, you know what, from year to year, here's all the short-term progresses that we're making. Here's all the long-terms that we're working on.
Okay. Personally, I feel what can be done is if we're able to get into, say, daycare centers and start teaching kids at that age diversity, and teaching them all about the negative impacts of racism, then they grow in that spirit. Then that generation coming up would know that this is negative.
Yeah.
So I feel that is an effort that we are looking into to see how best can we get into the educating of kids at a very, very young age. But for the immediate, it is just doing events like this, talking to other organizations, like-minded organizations, having African artists perform on non-African stages. Because there are some people who do not really listen to African music, who do not know the African sounds, and maybe because they've never been exposed to it. So taking our culture out to them and say, okay, I know this is, say, a jazz event, and it attracts a different, maybe the Chinese or whites or whatever, whatever
different demographics for sure, yeah.
exactly. So you guys see what we can do, and maybe bringing some of those demographics on our platform,
Yeah.
so that we can share in the beauty of our differences. I think that helps take the conversation further.
Dope. And I think to be honest with you, this conversation, it's ongoing. It's never an end. It's a conversation that we need to continue to have every day, every opportunity. But to digress a little bit, because we are here to talk about many other things, especially the impact that COVID has had on not only Music Africa, on every individual out here in the world. 2 years, Music Africa has had to pivot and put the biggest North of African festival in North America online.
Yes.
And I want you to, first of all, let me give us a little bit of a recap what Music Africa has done in the last 2 years to allow themselves to be put in a position where you could also now pivot out of that with things looking like it's going to open up for the summer coming up. Talk to me a little bit about the online series. What are other things that during the pandemic the Music Africa has done to not only continue to promote African music, help out artists in the city, and some of the work that maybe people are not aware of that has taken place during the 2-year pandemic?
Yes. So it has been really challenging, to say the least. The least, because we came from a situation in which we were planning in 2020. We were planning another amazing festival. Remember, 2019 was huge.
Oh my God! Yeah,
it was really nice. We did quite a good job. I think we had Fali Ipupa.
Fali was here.
Yeah.
Afrofest Africa, the Ghana edition also happened in December.
Exactly.
So a lot of momentum going into 2020 for sure.
Yes, and we're hoping to carry that, and then February, everything
yeah.
just went south, and we now had to, I would say, redefine ourselves. And what changed Music Africa quite a bit was the George Floyd situation, because as an organization, we were just doing cultural events. And when George Floyd was murdered, I received quite a few emails and phone calls and saying, look, you guys need to do more. Like, your organization is one of the organizations that can actually stand and face various politicians and say, this is what we're going through.
Yeah.
And we actually did. We made a case with Heritage Canada. We made a case with the Ontario Parliament to say, look, we need help within the African community. This is what's going on. So during the pandemic, we had to now present the online series. The first year was a lot challenging, because if imagine when you're doing a festival outdoor, most of your revenue comes from
the vendors, the attendees, and things of that nature. Okay.
But then when
I didn't even think about that, to be honest.
Yeah, and then when that is just taken away from you, and you're supposed to survive as an organization, it's tough.
Yeah.
So we had, and on the flip side, if we decide to say, okay, since we don't have, we're not able to generate the same amount of revenue, let us stay back and wait until we can do so. When we're going out to request funding, it becomes a lot more tricky.
Yeah.
Hey, what have you done in the last 2 years? Nothing. That's not a good story. So irrespective of whether there was a pandemic or not, we had to find a way to survive in the environment that we find ourselves in. We did an online series. We did an artist training program to help artists to get, because most artists, let's face it, they're small business people. You know, they have to organize themselves. They get paid per gig. You know, it's the way they organize their artistic side of themselves is a small business. But then most of them don't really understand this. They don't understand the finance. They don't understand the music industry itself. So we tried to bring various professionals to come in and do the training series to say, okay, today we're going to talk about music law. The next day we're going to talk about how to apply for a show. And that's another thing. Because so many times When I say so many times, a lot. This happens a lot. So I'll receive an email from somebody or a DM on Instagram. Sup? Or or somebody sent an email saying,
Oh man, okay.
I want to perform.
Sub like SUP.
SUP.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Or somebody say, I want to perform. I've never spoken to you before. Like we don't know each other. And I'm thinking, where do I start?
Yeah.
Or somebody says, hey, how are you? I appreciate the greeting.
Yeah.
You get, but how do I engage in because now I'm going to have to start always being on Insta. But that's a business page.
Yeah.
So you go on there maybe once a day, twice a day to see who has sent you a reasonable email if you can respond. But it's going to be difficult to be answering to what's up or how are you or hey, check out my new music video.
Now that we're on the subject, quickly, because people are watching now. What is proper etiquette? If you're looking to perform at Afrofest or any organization, give them like the top 3 things that they need to make sure that they do to at least give them that. It's like when you apply for a job, like you don't apply without a resume.
Of course.
So break that down to us in maybe 3-4 steps real quick that somebody watching this could kind of,
Yeah, I mean,
take in.
Yeah, if you want to apply for a show, first go on the website or the platform that is advertising the show.
Yeah.
And see, do they have any information on how to apply? Because take, for instance, Afrofest is specifically, it is a cultural event.
Yeah.
So we pay particular attention to the where exactly in Africa do you come from? Mm-hmm. If we have 20 or say 30 Nigerian artists that apply, mm-hmm. and we have say 3, let's say Rwandese that apply, there's a very high tendency. If we have 2 spots, we'll give one to the Nigerian and one to a Rwandese.
Yeah.
Even though we can have 3 or 4 of those within the Nigerian community, better than what the Rwandans are doing.
Okay.
The fact that we're trying to showcase that diversity will make us to divide it like that.
Yeah.
So for individuals to know that there's a process in place, send us an email. Go on the website, check. Send us an email. This is a live show.
Yeah.
So if you're sending an email, please make sure that you have videos of live performances. Now, I had to trash one of my computers because somebody sent me a video with a virus. And it just... So now I'm like, okay, you know what? Send me a link.
Should they just send links? Yeah, links.
Just send me a link.
But what if I'm a new up-and-coming artist?
Yes.
I want this to potentially be my first live show. I don't have any live show recordings. What's the alternative in that case?
Start with the training. This platform is not for you. That's the truth.
I don't know if I like that answer.
No, it's true. Now you're looking at the biggest festival in North America.
Yeah.
Competition to get on the stage is really tough. And then you're telling me that you don't have any material out there. Meanwhile, every year we receive...
In the same way that Music Africa wants to give equity, meaning like the same way you would give advantage to somebody from Rwanda, even though they're not as good.
Yes.
As you stated, is the same way you should give the opportunity to somebody who might not have ever been on the live stage but has potential in his artistry.
In that case, we give the person another show, other shows, like we build them up.
Okay.
Like the Black History Month concert series, like a monthly series.
Okay.
So we give them other platforms that they can perform, build themselves up before we take them on and go on Afrofest.
All right.
Because when you're going to Afrofest, you're going to see the best.
Yeah.
You're not. Yes, you're not going. You're not going to see somebody.
I agree. Yes.
Yes, you're not going to see somebody who's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yes, there's opportunity for emerging artists, for artists who have not had anything released as yet. Of course.
Yeah.
But it is not Afrofest.
Okay.
Yes.
Coming out of the pandemic, and you spoke about the online Afrofest online edition that has taken place in the last 2 years. Last year, we actually got a chance to sort of get into the spirit of being in front of a live crowd by doing a drive-in.
Yes.
What are the biggest takeaway that you personally have seen through the pandemic that Afrofest is going to because I'm sure at some point you look at the organization and realize that like there is a little bit of weakness in some of our areas.
Yes.
What are some things that you're going to take away to make sure that we build on that? Because I also think that the online platform, as we've learned from COVID, is here to stay.
Yes.
Right? How do you not manage the two? So does that mean that now that we go back, potentially back to the live crowd, what happens to the online platform?
We're going to pay more attention to our online platform. So we're looking at a situation in which, yes, the event is going to be live,
Yeah.
but we're going to stream it also. Because if we're taking Afrofest into other markets, say to other African markets, then we would like to have a situation, we'd like to make it in such a way that everybody around the world should be able to see what we're doing. So when we go into some of these places, we're no longer strangers.
Yeah.
And one of the ways of doing that is having the event live streamed or marketing what we're doing in some of these countries, or hiring artists from some of these countries to come and perform at Afrofest. So these are some of it's considering that this is the first year after the pandemic. There's an appetite for, hey, I just want to do something.
Yeah.
And we know that the festival, there's going to be a massive turnout this year because of that. But we don't want to also sit down and just think to ourselves, okay, since we know people are coming out, they will just enjoy. No, we want to remind people of this is how good this festival used to be, and we've taken it up to another level.
Perfect. I mean, and as we're talking about the platform, do make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to the Afrofest YouTube page for sure, as that's probably the first place that you'll get you get access to any content, any online. This stream is also on the YouTube page, so make sure if you're watching this to go ahead and subscribe to that page for sure. Right now in Ontario, as we're speaking,
yes,
the Premier has announced that as of March 1st, the QR code is going to be a thing of a past. So we're sort of anticipating that things are going to turn around quite a bit. And I mean, the $1 million question is, are we going to be back into full motion for Afrofest 2022? Is that set in stone at this point?
I wish I were the Premier. I would give you an answer.
I don't like how you started that. Okay.
No, but it's true. We take our directives from the provincial government, yes, from the municipality, from the federal government. So far, all indications, I don't think anybody wants to have a summer in which we're not able to go out, you know, the lockdown and all whatnot. So there's no appetite for an indoor or drive-through or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
I strongly believe that this year we're going to have full Afrofest.
Full 100% back.
100%, like no restrictions. I mean, yes, we'll still make recommendations of wear your mask and all whatnot.
Yeah.
But
we're looking to be outside. I mean, you heard it from the man first. Afrofest will be happening in July 6th and 7th.
No, that's July from 8th to 10th. Three days this time.
I got my dates all mixed up. 8. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
As I'm talking about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's an indication that there's actually a new format.
Yes.
To what we're previously used to, because in the past it was Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Now it seems to be added an extra day, which is Friday.
Yes.
Talk to me about what is the new format of this new of the new edition of Afrofest happening this year.
Yes. So what triggered this is usually every year we receive about 120 applications from artists from all over trying to perform at Afrofest. And we thought to ourselves, okay, how best can we accommodate these artists? Mm-hmm. We need more time. Also, we're looking at a situation in which we're trying to, for the number of people that come to the festival, making the festival longer, giving people more options just makes a lot more sense to us. So we approached the city of Toronto, presented the idea to them, and there was no objection on their part.
Okay.
So the way it's going to happen, if you've been to Afrofest before, you will know we've got two areas. There's the main stage and there's the Baobab stage.
Yes.
So on day one, we're going to activate the Baobab stage.
Okay.
So that's where all the activities.
Which is Friday.
Which is, yes.
On Friday, okay.
On Friday. And the reason is that the vendors at Afrofest will be most of them will be setting up on the Friday night. And we don't want the vendor setting up to interfere with the event that we're having. So we'll fence it out. The day one.
Oh, okay.
Day one is going to happen this way.
Yeah.
And then after day one, we take off the fence, and then we now have a full festival. Plus, we're trying to have quite a few interactive elements to the event. And since we have more interactive elements, more time is necessary to build up and then have the finale on Sunday.
Speak to me about these interactive events that you're talking about, because I mean, I've heard rumors. This is my poker face. I'm trying to play. I've heard rumors, but talk to me about some of these new interactive events that will be taking place.
Let's. What did you hear? What rumors did you hear?
I don't know if I want to say, because then I won't hear any more rumors. I can't kill my source.
No worries. So a few elements. So one of them is we're going to have a DJ sound clash.
Okay.
So we're going to do a call out to DJs within our community. We're looking for the best African DJ. The best African DJ.
All right.
So I don't care if you're coming from Montreal, from Ottawa. The only thing is you have to show up. There's a process. If you come and you win, okay, then you say, I'm the best. You guys in Toronto, you don't know what you're doing.
2022, I was the best DJ at Afrofest.
Exactly.
That's big.
Exactly.
That is big.
There's a $1,000 cash prize to that for the winner.
Wait, what? I think I might change my $1,000.
Yeah, that's
man. How many more time we have? 4 months? I might need to learn a new skills, guys. Because
true.
If the DJs are getting $1,000, I'm in the wrong place of business.
No, not necessarily.
Can I do both? As an MC, if I was to MC or somebody that's MCing, can they also enter the DJ competition?
Right now, we're going to put it out there. We're going to see how the applications come in.
Okay.
And then we may have a trial run.
Okay.
Because once you get on the stage, we need to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we'll have a pre-event where we test each DJ.
It's a lot of pressure. Okay.
Yes. Before now, say okay at Afro, and that's almost exactly what I was telling you, that Afrofest is not a platform where you come and test to see what you can do.
Right.
We try to do our due diligence, because when we hope that our audience will appreciate the work and the energy that has gone in to putting together an event of this magnitude.
Yeah.
So whether it be the DJs, we make sure that they're on point. The other element to it is we're doing a fashion show, and it's a fashion exhibition. I will not really call it a fashion show per se.
Okay.
And there's also a cash prize to that. But the tricky thing with the fashion exhibition is, unlike previous years where we get designers, these models, you come and model whatever you've created.
Okay.
This fashion exhibition is open to everybody.
Okay.
Come in your best Afro-inspired dress, shirt, whatever the case may be, and you get a chance to win. We have the male category and the female category. You get a chance to win $500. That's for the first. That's for top prize.
That.
So,
Afrofest is coming out of the pandemic with some big checks.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
And we have various partners that were looking to sponsor to sponsor these elements. But the important thing, especially, I'll give you an example. So most of some designers during the pandemic, people are not going out. Their business is struggling. So you may look at it like, okay, we paying the winners of the fashion show.
Yeah.
But the way we look at it is, if say 100 people take this seriously, and 100 people decide to hire designers in Toronto, that's work for them.
Yes.
So technically, we're trying to boost businesses by creating events and presenting creating a program that will inevitably bring them into our fold. That's why we have The fashion show
Open to the public.
open to everybody.
Listen, guys, you've heard him give you the cheat code. That means, including myself, I will be hiring a designer. So if you are a designer, hit me up, because I want to enter DJ Clash fashion show. That's 1,500 already. You see, I'm doing the math.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
That is sound good, but that's a cheat code for people to enter. So we'll be picking from the crowd or attendees.
Yes. So we're working with the Africa Fashion Week.
Okay.
Yeah, because we know these guys have done a fashion week in Toronto for I don't know how long, almost 10 years. They've got a very excellent team that presents their event. And so what we're saying is, okay, you guys will serve, you bring a team that will serve as fashion police. We have the hashtag Afrofest 2022 fashion. So you can either take a picture, use the hashtag so that we can go online, check it, or we'll have a booth where you can go in, check out the fashion police are going to check you, you take a picture, and one of the ways in which they're going to be judged is the pictures with the highest vote gets entered to win a prize. If you don't get highest votes, then it means people don't really appreciate what you've done. Good effort, try harder next time, that type of thing.
Yeah. Amazing. So we got the DJ Sound Clash. We got the new format of the fashion show.
Yes.
Any other thing that I'm missing in the format?
So we have we also have Afrofest Awards.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have Afrofest Awards because we understand, especially during the pandemic, this really came to the forefront in which we realized there are quite a few people within our community that are doing amazing work, but really get no recognition. So we say, okay, how about we do something for these people? Afrofest is one of those platforms that at the end of the night on Saturday, we have about 20,000 people.
Yeah.
How about we present an award to individuals within the community who are doing amazing work and let our community recognize the efforts of these people. So every year, from this year, we're going to be giving out 3 or 4 awards. So we're now calling out to the community to say, if you know somebody who is doing something interesting, who is helping the community in whatever way, you let us know, and then we'll look at all these entries. There's a panel that is going to look at all these entries and then select the individuals that we feel are worthy of receiving the award.
So tell me a little bit more about what type of awards are these, like community recognized individuals?
Yes, it's a Community Shield Award. So it doesn't matter what you do within the community.
Okay.
It just has to be you are making an impact within the African Canadian community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do people nominate or sign up for this? Is it a structure that's been set up now for us to access it, or?
Yes. So the information is going to be posted on our website before the end of this month. But the submission email address is submissions at musicafrica.ca.
Okay.
We're going to put out the rules and regulations, the guidelines, and it's simple. Just
anyone can nominate.
Anyone can nominate anybody else. We need to have a biography of the person and exactly what the person works, what the person does, and a few references. So what we would do is we get all this information. There's a panel of individuals who are going to assess it. Then they'll do their own due diligence to check, to call some people within that community. If it's somebody who is saying, hey, I'm doing amazing work within the Congolese community, or I'm doing amazing work within the Egyptian community, call some people and say, hey, do you know this person?
Yeah.
What do you think about the work they're doing or whatnot? And then based on that, we can present the awards.
Well, okay, that's something new. You got 3 things that are brand new into this formatting.
Yes.
Anything else that
Yeah. So we've got the Afrofest magazine that we're going to do it's going to be published in May. And
man, Afrofest not playing no games this year. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, and what we're doing is we've got a lot of bloggers, we've got a lot of people that tell stories of what happens within the African community. So we're trying to capture some of these and put in the Afrofest magazine so we can share them to individuals who come to Afrofest, share them because yes, you come to Afrofest, you see the artists, but do you know the stories, some of our stories, what
Yeah.
happens within our community?
Okay.
So we're trying to give people the chance to read about us. So it's also open to anybody who feels they want to write something about the African community. They contact us and say, hey, I would like to write a story about this. They let us know. If we like the idea, then we can engage in a conversation about the article.
Wow. Okay. So the magazine, which will be distributed on the day of Afrofest,
We're
or
trying.
is it online? Would it be online?
It will be online, and we're going to distribute it in June.
Okay.
So at least it should be out a month before the festival.
The festival,
So that
okay.
people can. It will have the biographies of the artists that are performing at Afrofest.
Yeah.
It will have businesses that are going to be at Afrofest. You have quite a few elements. We're trying to capture the essence of the African community in Toronto
Yeah.
in the magazine.
Dope. Any other thing in terms of the formatting, or that?
No, no.
I feel like you hit me with a lot of surprises today. I knew about one. I was like, oh, okay, magazine award show. No, that's dope, and I like it because it's an indication that you guys have really trying to you find a need or a niche in the community, and coming out of the pandemic, we're trying to reintroduce a new interest to the public, which I think it shows how much things were being worked on, even though the organization was kind of relatively quiet for the last 2 years due to the pandemic.
Yeah, and you've actually said it right, because sometimes we stay back, and some people may think that, okay, because these guys are quiet, there's no work going on.
Nothing is being done.
No,
yeah.
no, but a lot is going on. Now, the other thing, which is not
One more thing.
which is not necessarily at Afrofest, but way later within the year, is Afrofest Africa. But that's a whole different conversation. Yeah, yes.
Mr. Tote, today you're not taking it easy. Can you tell us a little bit more on that project, or that's still
No,
in the works?
No, right now it's I am 100% committed
Okay.
to present Afrofest in Ottawa, in Africa. Sorry, are we going to do it? Are we going to be able to raise the funds that we need to present this event?
Yeah.
We are currently working on that, but all the negotiations have been done. We're going to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam,
Okay.
to present.
Oh, that was going to be my next question, because I know we went to Ghana.
Yes.
I was wondering where the next spot will be. So it will be in Tanzania.
Yes, it'll be in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam. And the reason why because during the pandemic, even though people were locked down, I decided to do a bit of traveling. And I went to various places. Tanzania stood out. It's one of those places that they've got a lot to offer, but I don't think people realize it yet.
Their potential is still untapped.
Yes, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. And I'm trying to say, okay, what really got my attention is, no matter where you are in Dar es Salaam specifically, you walk down the street, there's somebody playing live music. Almost every neighborhood has got one or two spots that on any given day, there's some live music. And I'm somebody who appreciates live music. So I just felt that's the first time that in my life that I just left my room and said, I'm going out.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen. So I said, okay, Dar es Salaam, we're coming.
Okay. At least now we know as to why. What's the pull? Because I was going to ask, being that the first thing happened in Ghana, now we're going to Dar es Salaam. Is the goal to go to different country every year, or to sort of kind of develop the branding into specific countries? Or are we going to different countries every year when the project comes up?
Right now, I cannot quite answer that question, because this is still our second year.
Okay.
Maybe we'll be going to different countries depending on how welcoming the countries are. There's a lot of stuff we take into consideration.
Yeah, a lot of infrastructure. That needs to be
exactly,
assessed,
logistics and whatnot. But it would be nice to take the project to various countries, to change the country every year. That would be dope.
That's nice. You know what? Say no more. I'm back in the gym. You know what I mean? Doing my push-ups. because you can.
You have to keep fit.
You have to look. You know, you have to look the part when you go to the beaches and things like that. I'm just speaking things into existence a bit. We don't know what's happening. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, and that's the interesting thing, because sometimes you tell people that you're going to present a project, and automatically they fit themselves in your schedule. And before you realize it, when you put the list out of people who are coming,
You get a lot of phone calls.
you get a lot of phone calls. I thought you had told me that I'm going to this project and we're going to this. Why have you? No, man.
It doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way. So, yes, it's still. We're not committing any artists. We're not committing anybody right now. We're still working. We're actually going to have auditions for Afrofest Africa.
Okay.
To make sure that it is fair.
Yeah.
So nobody should say, hey, you know, I've worked with Peter for long. He knows my talent. He knows what I can do.
Yeah.
None of that. If you don't apply,
It's based on merit.
It's based on, if you don't apply and you're expecting based on a personal connection that you're going to get a spot,
It's not happening.
you will wait till thy kingdom come.
Oh man, and this is when you get a lot of phone calls. To wrap up our Afrofest conversation, we talk about the new formatting, the potential of going to second year Afrofest taking place on the continent. Last thing I want to ask you to that, to kind of wrap things up, the artists that are coming to Afrofest here in Toronto in July. What are some of the big names? And is there, because I've seen a list that was announced on the Afrofest page. I would highly suggest for you guys to go and to follow Afrofest_Toronto for all the latest and breaking news, because that goes there first. I saw the list. If you don't mind, just running through some of the picks as to why, and also is there any surprises? Because I have a sense, even though I hear from the streets, this one I didn't I didn't hear. But talk to me about names being announced for this year, artists that are coming for Afrofest 2022.
Yes. So what we're trying to do this year, before I give you the names, what we're doing this year is we're trying to, knowing that during the pandemic, artists in Africa kept on creating because that's their livelihood.
Yeah.
You cannot tell, here we can get government support. There, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So these guys kept on creating. The music industry in Africa evolved during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do right now is we bring in half and half. Half of a group will come from the continent, and the rest will get guys in Toronto to play with the guys that come from the continent.
Okay.
So the headliner may come from the continent, or the headliner may come from here, but there will be a lot of interaction that way. The key artists that we have for this year, the headliners, we've got Femi Kuti, the son of legendary Fela Kuti.
Wow, okay.
We've got Tabu Kombo.
Okay.
Now, Tabu Kombo, those who know Kassav with Haiti and compa music, Tabu Kombo and Kassav, they were that kind of competing for supremacy in that space.
Yeah.
We have Daphne from Cameroon, Ja Preja from Zimbabwe, Dikofis from Burkina Faso. The event is going to be hosted by Trix, the comedian Trix.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just some of the international names that are coming in.
Yeah.
And then the rest, local talent.
Okay.
Like Daphne is coming by herself, but she's going to be backed up by local guys.
Mm-hmm.
Dikofis is coming by himself, going to be backed up by local guys. So we're trying to mix and match to make sure that even though we're bringing people from outside, the local guys, our local artists, still have the chance to perform on stage and maybe learn from some of these international artists, because these guys are award winners. They've got quite a bit of experience doing what they do. So that's as far as Afrofest. And in terms of surprises, right now, I don't have any. So the streets, they never did you fair this time.
They're not doing me fair, the streets. They're making me look bad.
Yeah, no, I don't have any surprises. On Friday, the theme for Friday is it's a tribute to the fallen artists during COVID-19, because we lost quite a few artists, like Jacob Devario, Manu Dibango, Olus Mabele, More Kante, you know, quite a few artists within our community
Okay.
passed away. So the Friday night is a tribute to these artists, and the culture is going to be well represented by the legendary Congolese group Niboma and Dali Kimoko, who is among the top 5 soukous guitarists in Africa.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I might play a little bit of devil advocate, I like to cause trouble from time to time. I would like to say I thoroughly appreciated all the artists that you have named, but maybe this is my age that is showing. I like Davido, Wizkid, you know, Serge Benoit, Tufan. Now, understanding what obviously Afrofest represent and the level of artistry that you've mentioned, but for somebody who's fairly looking at artists that I relate to in this time, what is Afrofest kind of doing to appeal to these artists that are able to relate to a lot more younger demographic, right? Because Fali to me was the perfect balance, right? Fali appeals to generation across the board, young, old, in the middle, and to me that was Afrofest sort of stepping into the right direction. Now I get there's a lot more complex issues. Is maybe I'm a little bit previewed than most about the interaction of behind the scenes and what it takes to bring artists. But if somebody asks you, why don't we get a Wizkid
I know
for
that
Afrofest?
there are quite a few people that are extremely happy because you're asking this question.
Of course.
Like okay, let's
if
see.
I did not ask you this question,
Hey, let's see
I
what
would
he's
be in
going to
trouble.
say. Let's see what he's going. No, everything runs down to budget.
Okay.
Yes, everything depends on the budget. To get an artist like Wizkid, like Davido, you know, it's either they reduce their prices significantly, or we have to match up what they are asking for.
Okay.
And if they don't reduce their prices anytime soon, then we have to wait and get to the point where we can hire artists of that caliber.
Yeah.
We're talking about some of these artists that ask for private planes and just that's their rider. Talk less of what
Wow.
the fee that they'll tell you to pay. And we as a cultural organization, we don't have that kind of budget
Yeah.
yet. So that's the tricky part when it comes to the artists that you're talking about. On the flip side, when you have an artist like Fally Ipupa, you see, I think he understands. So when I approached him, it was more of the conversation was nice.
Yeah.
He came through for us.
Yeah.
And that's I appreciate him doing that.
Yes.
So it's more like a favor that he did.
Yeah.
Because we would not be able to afford him. You know. But the relationship that we have with him, with his team, made it possible for us to present him at Afrofest. So some artists that were able to develop some of these relationships,
Yeah.
when we get to that point,
We'll be
then
able to bring him.
we're able to bring them.
Okay.
But if we don't have those connections and we don't have those relationships, it gets a bit tricky for us.
And honestly, thank you for explaining that. And as a reminder, Music Africa is a non-for-profit organization, meaning everything that gets put on to the public is coming from funding. And some of these artists that could cost upward to 50,000. And I'm just even throwing a random number out there.
You're saying 50. Talk about 100. Talk about 100.
That's
and
true.
yes, we're funded by we get grants from the government, but we also have to generate most of that income ourselves.
Yeah.
From sponsorships, from vendor fees, from
Yeah.
other small merchandise sales and other smaller things that we do within the
That is
community,
true, yeah.
like concerts that we do on a monthly basis to generate income.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when we present Afrofest and say, okay, it is free, even some of these, the artists that we're bringing in that you may consider the older generation, they don't come cheap,
Yeah, no, for sure.
you know? So we have to pay them.
Yeah.
And it is significantly expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned something new. And I felt like I kind of knew this already, but you put it in a perspective that, like, okay, cool. That means that we as a community need to help push the agenda forward do what we need to do to ensure that Afrofest get to a level that they are able to bring these artists from year to year, because it is a bigger organization getting a lot more support from the community and obviously all the sponsors, the gift grants and sort of that nature.
Yeah.
Any sorry, go ahead.
Yes, and just to add to what you're saying, there may be a misconception out there that some people may say, hey, you know what? Why can't you guys just go ask for more? You know, why can't you guys just go? It is not, that's not the way the system works.
Okay.
You know, you have to figure out a way on how to build your own internal capacity. I don't think, we are not a charitable organization. We're not for profit, and there's a big difference between the two. I'm not going to get into that here.
Yeah.
But as a not-for-profit organization and as a cultural organization, one has to show that you've got the internal capacity to generate a certain amount of income. Then you get support from outside. And yes, sometimes some specific leeway is given to organizations based on the demographic that you're part of.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that you have to go out there and generate income. So whenever you see, hey, please donate, or whenever you see Music Africa
Support,
support, please go ahead, support us so that we will be able to do more.
Any last remarks? Because I feel like we've gotten to just the thing. We talked about the pandemic, Black History Month, the concert series that is happening starting next Saturday. There was already one to post it. So do make sure you go and follow all the Afrofest pages. Instagram is Afrofest_Toronto. I believe Facebook as well.
No, Facebook is Afrofest Toronto.
Afrofest Toronto on Facebook, and on YouTube it's Afrofest.
Yes.
Any last remarks, regards that I might miss on, or you might want to let us know?
No, just two things, because yes, we've discussed Afrofest, but then we have things, we have programs leading up to Afrofest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and a question that you never asked that I know a lot of people will be asking, hey, how about for vendors? You know, vendors that want to come to Afrofest. We're currently working on the vendor package. It should be posted online before the 28th of the month.
Okay.
So if you check our website, www.afrofest.ca,
Yeah.
we will post the vendor package on there. Now, it is highly competitive. We've just got about 70 to 80 spots, and we have more than 200 businesses trying to be at Afrofest. So please, once it's when we do this on a first come, first serve basis.
Send the email quick.
Yes, send the email. Please don't come and tell me that, hey, you know, I know you and I understand, I appreciate our friendship, but I'm not able to
skip the line for somebody.
Yes.
So and that's important that you say that too. Whenever you guys see the information, please go ahead and at least give yourself a fair chance.
Exactly.
Apply early and apply early.
Yes. The other thing is we have an artist training session like we did last year, starting in March. The information is going to be posted on our Instagram page, as Mr. Activated said, Afrofest_Toronto. We'll also post it on our Facebook page. And basically, we're covering topics like music, law, marketing, finance, entrepreneurship, how to present yourself, or how to prepare for a show, how to apply for a show. We're trying to make sure that artists within our community are well equipped to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are currently opening, because we don't want a situation, we cannot hire everybody. We would like that even if we're not able to hire, when you present as an artist, if you present yourself somewhere else, they will respect your application and most definitely be inclined to give you a call for a show.
Yeah.
Then we also have a monthly artist series. So every month, at the end of the month, we're going to have an artist perform. We're accepting applications for that. So if you're an artist and you know you can present a live show, please send us an email, submissions@musicafrica.ca. Just send us your profile, your biography, your location, the kind of music you play, and one or two videos of how you sound like. We'll go through it. Hopefully we'll give you a call and work something so that we can give you a show.
And that's in person only. It's not online. The monthly series.
Yes, the monthly series is in
person.
Yes.
Okay, dope. Any other thing? It's a lot. Listen, guys, I hope you guys been writing down notes. Music Africa is not playing this year, as you heard it from Mr. Toe himself. There's a lot of things into the works, and I think one important point that you mentioned is please go ahead and bookmark the website, visit it often enough because the information goes there first, and the Instagram page. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Because I know a lot of time I do get messages, and it's like, this was 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's too late to intervene. So please, and I put an emphasis to it. Apply early to everything you are interested in, and do not hesitate if you have questions. info@musicafrica.ca.
Yes. And this particular part, I'm trying to save myself right now because I know it happens every year. Please apply on time so that you don't have to come to ask me, why have you not, or can you change the list or anything, anything of that nature. Some of the decisions, it's mostly a panel that goes through it. So yes, even though you may see my face, I have to answer to people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that I'm not able to change. So if, as we said earlier, if you see a post out calling for artists and
Please.
you know you want to be part of the show,
Do it
please apply.
Do it very, very early. And that is the reason why we have security at the small stage now. That is so beautiful. Any last thanks, and before we get out of here, any special shout out?
Yes, so I would like to thank our sponsors because we will not be able to do what we're doing without the support of various agencies, especially the Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, Heritage Canada. And specifically, the reason I'm taking time out to thank them is when you do events like for quite a while, you get to know the people within these organizations. They become like your allies, and they give you insights on how best to position yourself and how to grow. And it's based on some of these relationships that we've created that we've been able to grow the organization. TD Bank is also another institution that has helped us, especially for this Black History Month and for the artist training series that we have coming up. They're really behind us, helping us and saying, hey, we're here to support you, support the artists within the community, and showcase how beautiful the Black culture, how beautiful African culture is. So yes, the TD Ready commitment. Thank you guys very much for your support. The Factor also, yes. Let me not. Factor the sponsoring the artist training program that we have.
Okay.
So thanks to Factor for supporting that. Those are our key sponsors. Canada Council for the Arts, thanks for sponsoring Afrofest and other programs that we're doing. And as I said, some of these organizations, you work with them so much over the years that they become like allies. You can call them and say, hey, I'm trying to put this together.
Yeah.
What kind of support? And sometimes they'll tell you, look, you don't qualify right before you even think of applying. And even though nothing is guaranteed, I still appreciate the fact that we can have these conversations with these organizations. And last thing, after this, at 9:30, we have a show on YouTube, Liza Current. Interesting thing about him. So last 2 weeks ago, we were recording the Black History Month series because it's virtual. We record in advance.
Yeah.
He heard that we were recording a show. I don't know him. I've never worked with him before. He came out with his crew.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, Peter? I know we've never worked before. Instead of me sending you a tape and everything, anything of that nature, I'm just going to come here and do a show. That's my own audition. And he came and he performed extremely well. And I appreciate artists like that. I appreciate people who will go that extra mile to
think
showcase
outside of the box kind of thing. Okay.
Because now he's in the system. I've seen what he can do, and I've seen how committed he is to his craft, and how much he's willing to go to seek for opportunity. When you find somebody that hungry, it's easy to push them.
Give him opportunity.
So shout out to Lazar Current. Please, he's going to be performing on at 9:30 today.
Yeah.
So if you're not following, follow the Afrofest on YouTube. You'll be able to watch his show.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And also big shout out to DC Studios for having us and making us look good in your videos. So if you have any need, make sure you hit them up. And as myself, my name again is Ibu Misactivated. And this is Convoys with Music Africa. My man Peter Toe in the house. And I would like to say you've officially been activated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you.